Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 3 of Money and Muscle, where we're gonna get wealthier and healthier. So today is an amazing episode because we're gonna be listening to one of the person that I really respect, and people don't like him. People like him, but I don't care. I think he has a lot of good things to talk about. Let's get straight to it. So if you don't know me, I've been training for more than 17 years. Since I was 5. I was fighting, I was in martial arts, and then when I got here to the US, I've been involved in business since I was 15. So we're talking about 15 years of fitness experience and around 7 years of business experience, and I'm still young and we're still learning, we're still growing. So this is just so we can learn together and grow together, because the journey, it doesn't stop, it never stops. So let's get straight to it. And today the gym was closed, so tip number 1 that I do in my life: have like some weights at your house that you can work out at any time, so we don't have any excuses. We gotta make it easier to be able to accomplish the things that we want. So how do I make it easy? Oh, I got weights. I want to work out. How do I make it easy? I got weights in my house. Oh, I want to be able to make more money. How do I make more money? Oh, I have a computer in my room. I have 2 phones. So the environment is key. And when you see me pulling up in a Lambo, bro, you're gonna be like, damn, bro, I gotta listen to that guy because he's going somewhere. Okay, let's get straight to it. This is a podcast that just came out today, so we're gonna be reviewing it and let's see the lessons that we can learn.
Make new friends, and back then, I think that's probably never expected to have any other.
So we're gonna skip the intro and we're gonna get straight to the juice. What we're gonna do, the most common chest workout, bench, flat bench.
Easy life, or never expected to have. Your last name is Tate. It was very clear to hard I had to do.
Should really begin for you as a kid.
Yeah.
Person on earth. Where you grew up.
Yeah.
I know you grew up in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
But talk to me about.
This is Andrew Tate. I relate a lot with him because he was a fighter. Then he became a wealthy individual, and he has a lot of good things to say.
Young Andrew, before you became literally the most viral person on earth. Talk to me, what was young Andrew? Where did he grow up? Where did the formation for this ambition really begin?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was born in D.C., and then we moved to Indiana. We lived just outside of Gary, Indiana. And my father was a professional chess player, and I understood I had to work hard, and I had to do each of my last name. And from
5'14", that's where we're starting at.
as young as I can remember, I was told, no, you have to be exceptional because your last name is Tate. It was very clear to me. It was never...
Starting with the sauce. So, bro, this is what I'm doing right now. This is what I invite you to do. Make your last name mean something. The phrase, your last name, Tate, means something, because there's a energy that you feel when someone's last name is mentioned. So make that happen for you. That's the best feeling, bro. One of the best feelings, and I want to make it happen, and we're gonna make it happen.
The other type of life that was laid out for me. Hard, and I had to do each of my last name, and from as young as I can remember, I was told, no, you have to be exceptional because your last name is Tate. It was very clear to me. It was never any other type of life that was laid out for me. I never expected to have any other easy life, or never expected to have a normal life. Mm-hmm. My mother and father broke up when I was 10. We moved to England.
How did that affect you?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the reasons. If I had to self-analyze, when I moved from America to England, obviously you start all over again. You go to a new school, you have to make new friends. And back then, I don't know how long ago that was, 20-something years, whatever. If you're American in England, it was slightly more unusual. Sure. And the kids would make fun of your accent or whatever. And you have to learn to stick up for yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to learn to fight and to be brave. And if I had to be a psychotherapist, if I believed in these things and had to analyze my past as to why I am the way I am, I think the fact that at a fairly young age, I was ostracized and forced to defend myself and forced to stick up for myself and was happy to have a different point of view because I knew nobody could pick on me. That probably has something to do with the reason I am the person I am.
So we're gonna combine this with push-ups because it's not a lot of weight. So we're gonna do combining like a superset to get the muscle tired.
I had to analyze it. So, got me thinking now, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I need to take all my kids and pluck them and just drag them out of school and drop them in Mongolia somewhere.
Yeah.
And see how that...
Was it something like,
Bro, we cannot lie about the guy being funny. Bro, like, those are things that are like, bro, like, come on, bro, he's joking. Maybe. But it's funny, you know? You cannot be all serious and stuff because people get bored, bro. You gotta be funny. Or have, like, charisma, you know?
series of events? Because I can relate to that, where you feel like an outcast. You don't quite feel at home here. You don't quite feel at home with this group. So it teaches you to kind of stick up for yourself and fight for yourself.
I think it was just my brother and I. We turned up. Everyone said, "Ha ha, you're weird American kids." We said, "Yeah, we are." Say something to our face, and they wouldn't. And that was it. And it just became us two
Against the world.
against the world. And I don't think
changed.
not much has changed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. It's very interesting when you understand the brutal dynamics of humanity and also the brutal dynamics of opinions in general. But unless you're prepared to defend your opinion, usually physically, especially outside of the internet world, you don't have an opinion at all. If you can't defend your ideas, if someone comes to you and says, "I disagree with you," and you're afraid of that person.
That's why we gotta be strong physically, mentally, and financially, so we can be free. That's the goal, bro. Push-ups, do it slow, so you feel it better. That's what she says.
Well, then you're not going to have any ideas different than what the Matrix wants you to hold. It takes a lot of bravery to stand up and say, "I don't care. I know I'm right," despite the fact that the whole group or society or the consensus is saying this, because you're going to pay for that at some point. I know we live in a world now where physical confrontation and physical violence alone is not enough, but I still think it's intrinsic inside of the human condition. When you know that you are capable in that realm, you're more likely to stand up against a system. But you can't have an opinion if you don't defend it. If you can't defend it, if a guy comes up to you and says 2 + 2 is 5, and he can beat the shit out of you, I mean, maybe you'll end up a bloody pulp, or maybe you'll give up sooner. But sooner or later, 2 + 2 is going to equal 5. That's the reality of the world. So,
if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think, just to talk about the childhood thing, I understood from a young age I had to stick up for myself and defend my ideas, and my ideas were always different, and I was always an outcast, I guess, to a degree, and that certainly played a part later on in my life, because it's been very easy for me to look at the programming the Matrix is trying to push down my throat and just say no.
Did you discuss a lot of philosophy with your dad growing up? Was he a confidant in that way? I know he's a chess master, but was he somebody you pitch and catch with, or was it mostly you and your brother that kind of pitch and catched a lot of these things early on?
My dad had his own philosophies. I don't think, we definitely never read any philosophical books. We didn't study any old philosophers, but he'd say things now, which you can even still see his Twitter. If you want to see a philosopher, you can go through his Twitter now and see all of the things he was saying when he was still alive.
Yeah.
But I think life is actually pretty simple. There's action and reaction. There's cause and effect. There's brave people and there's coward.
A quick story that I want to share right here is bro, one time, you see how I put down the weight on one side, bro. One time, all these bars like fucking like full everywhere. I was doing squats. That's why I had more weight. But I remember I took like 145. And that shit fell, and damn, you make a fucking mess on the gym. I was like, damn, bro, I look like a... But I don't care about what people say. That's what we gotta be, like, you know? I just wanted to share because I was taking it, like, so cautiously. Being so cautious, like, careful. And that just came to my mind. I was like, damn, bro, I made a fucking mess. Had the fucking ladies on the gym, like, all looking at me like, what happened?
No,
everything okay. I'm on Thomas.
If you understand the basis of these motivations, it's not difficult to work out why the world functions the way it does. And cause and effect and action and reaction are very real. And I think one of the largest plagues we have in the world today is a lack of action amongst people. And deciding not to act is an action in and of itself, right? And that's the only philosophy you need for life. If you want something to move, you have to move it. If you sit and wait for somebody else to move it, you're a coward. You're just hoping it's going to happen.
Period. Absolutely.
And that's why I don't understand when a lot of people who see where the world is going and see the future that's going to be laid out for their children kind of just hope and pray when they really need to be taking a more active role, even if it's as simple as discussing every subject with anyone who will listen and try to
Open their mind.
open minds. Correct. Yeah.
Now, real quick, I want to touch base one more time. The young Andrew Tate, when he was coming up and having these sorts of thoughts, what were you like as you got into your team?
Do you need more power, more control? Then you need VPS hosting from Hostier.
Bro, we gotta get
More memory, more security.
Were you a ladies' man? Did you?
YouTube, without ads. It's happening right now. But we're smart, we're gonna put one way in there and then bring the other one.
Have a girl break your heart, that first one. I'm sure the stories are famous.
Everyone's had their heart broken by a girl, haven't they?
Do you remember the first one? That really did it for you?
Yeah, everyone's had their heart broken by a girl when they're a teenager. I can't say her name because I'm famous now. She isn't. I can't make her famous or anything. But I think everyone's had their heart broken by a girl, and that's an important part of life. I'm sure every girl's had her heart broken by a man. I don't think it's gendered. I think that's just how the society functions. That's how it goes.
Well, the reason I ask too is because a lot of people that we've interviewed, a lot of high-level entrepreneurs, billionaires, a lot of people who've done big things, a lot of them had a chip on their shoulder early on. Even Will Smith talks about the fact that he wouldn't have been the biggest actor in the world if that first girl didn't break his heart. Because
I think his current girl's breaking his heart. I don't think he was worried about the first one. He's worried about the one he's with now. Bro, chip on his shoulder, he needs to get it back. Jesus.
But was there ever anything like that for you? Like something when you were young, you're like, man, I'm going to prove to the world. Like what started that fire inside early on? Or did it kind of just develop through time and get hotter and hotter?
Well, I think everybody has a fire inside of them, but it's pacified. It's deliberately extinguished by society because, one, the matrix wants you docile, which is the first thing. And second thing is people live lives of comfort. A lot of people, I think all men are born with a masculine desire to conquer Earth. And I think you're only going to be happy if you're conquering. But if you're living a semi-comfortable life and your mother is nice to you and you're not under any pressure and the matrix is telling you it's fine to just be average, well, then you're going to be sitting there being average. I was never comforted. I was never given an easy life. I never had anyone in my life who was saying, don't worry, Andrew, it's okay to just be this guy. I was told the opposite all the time. I don't know if the fire inside of me is any bigger than it is inside of every other man. And I think that every man at home watching this, if they don't have the things they want in life, should feel a degree of resentment towards themselves or disappointment, understanding that they have the same desire and drive that I have. They just allowed themselves to be psyoped out of it. They've allowed the matrix or whoever to convince them it's okay to not be the man they could be. And I never allowed anybody to do that to me. I've had a lot of people try. I've had girlfriends say, Andrew, you're rich enough, and why are you going to jail, and why all this stress? Why can't we just relax? Just be quiet. Just, and my mom has said it, women usually, because they protect, that's how a woman.
What I do when I don't have too much weight is I slow the time. This is called time over tension. I slow the time, like I say, to do with the push-ups, and I squeeze like I'm MF, And bro, you get defined like this by doing this. Let's keep going.
Will protect you, right? A man will die beside you. A woman can only protect you by trying to convince you out of going to war in the first place. And I could sit here.
So here, he's just saying that we all have that fire inside of us, and it's true, bro. The people I know, they all wanna get better, but the things are not everyone is doing the work that is required. It's required to put time, effort, everything that you got. Because if you ask anybody, oh yeah, I want to be rich, but not everyone is willing to do the sacrifice. So I completely agree, and I just say that, bro, we want it, and we're not gonna want to do the work sometimes, but we gotta go all in, brother. if we feel it inside it's for a reason.
And listen to them and say, I've done enough and I'm rich enough. And
Make God proud, and He's gonna reward us. He has and He will. And if He hasn't, God doesn't forget about anyone.
blah, then it wouldn't be me. Absolutely. You know, so, and I think that people fall for that trap early on in life. There's many stages of life. You can be 5 years old and your mother doesn't want you to go boxing because you might get hit. And the dad might be like, yeah, I guess. A lot of it is feminine energy. And then another huge part of it is the matrix-led propaganda, because they don't like masculine imperatives because it defends the society, which they're trying to destroy. But I lived in a household where my father was in charge and my mother wasn't allowed to baby us, and we were always pushed to be the same way.
Has Andrew Tate ever had a job?
Oh, yeah, I've had jobs.
What were your first jobs? Walk people down that lane.
I'm not a rich guy. I'm just a poor guy with lots of money. I am, no, but I mean that. I've had jobs. I started off my first job, I was carrying boxes of fish.
How old were you?
15.
50. That was your first job?
Yeah, there were like 25 kilo boxes of fish with ice in them, and I was carrying them from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. at a fish market. That was my first job. I've worked in sales. I was an IT technician at my school.
No way.
Yeah, I've done loads of things.
Andrew Tate was on sales calls?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've done loads of different jobs. And I'm very glad I grew up in the real world, because I think that there's no light without dark. And if you're born rich or you're born privileged, you're going to have a particularly unique experience of misery, because you're not going to be truly happy. You're not going to understand why. And no one's going to ever feel sorry for you or understand it, because, of course, you're from a privileged background. You're living this.
One quote that I really like is he's saying that he's not rich. He's a poor guy with a lot of money. That's just like, as I see, I hear it and I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter what. When we get there, we gotta keep being the same person, humble, being thankful to the people, and always being a good person.
Life. But you need to have had bad things happen to you for you to appreciate any of the good things you're ever going to have. So, in fact, when my brother and I talk, often we talk about the stories from the bad days. Our best stories, our happiest memories are when we were completely broke. It's kind of funny how the good old days are constantly being lived and you don't appreciate them till afterwards. But yeah, I've worked a bunch of normal jobs. I've lived a very normal life until I reached the highest echelon of finances. And I guess that's where you learn all the lessons on the way, where you start from a single mother household on government housing all the way to the top, to having companies worth billions of dollars. And you pass through all the different stages along the way. And you see all the different attitudes of the people as you go through it.
What were some of the other jobs, if you don't mind me asking, that you had? You fish.
So I know people are gonna ask, this is 25, a 10, 10. So we got 45 and 5. 45 and 5. This should be a lot better than the last reps. So let's go.
So yeah, I worked in the fish market for a while, for stages along the way. And you see all the different attitudes of the people as you go through it.
What were some of the other jobs, if you don't mind me asking, that you had? You fish, sales.
So yeah, I worked in the fish market for a while. It was fun, but it was very physically intensive, and I was training at the time. I wanted to become a kickboxing world champion, so I decided to get an easier job. I got a job as an IT technician at my own school, at my old school. I was 17 then.
You went to college?
No, I did go to college. I went to college in England, but I'm not sure how it matches up with the American educational system. So
sure.
I finished high school at 16. I went to college 17 and 18. When I was 18 and I finished college, I went back to my old high school and worked as an IT technician, but I got fired for sleeping with one of the students.
Was she hot?
She was very hot. She was 16, I was 18, I got fired. Okay. And then I got fired from there. And then I went and got a sales job.
How did sales sharpen you? Because one of the common denominators, some of the most successful people in the world, has always been sales. I did door-to-door sales. Yeah. I used to work selling solar. I later worked at Tesla. And it was always in sales. And it sharpens you to a whole new level. How did sales
I think the best salespeople in the world are double glazing salesmen.
What is that?
Windows double glazing salesmen.
Why is that?
I think that must be the hardest sales job. Because if you sell cars, for example, somebody turns up on the car lot and they've turned up at the Audi dealership because they have a degree of respect for the Audi brand, and they maybe want an Audi, and you have to convince them it's better than the BMW and make sure they can afford it and sell them the Audi. Okay, fine. But if you're going to sell somebody windows, they already have windows in their house. You're not turning up to some crack den with no windows. So first thing, you have to make them want the windows. Right. That's the first thing you have to do. You unsolicitedly knock on someone's door and say, I'm here to give you windows. And they're going to say, I have windows, I don't want windows. And then you're going to sit.
So here is just talking about the persuasive skills from selling, which is something that I had tried. And bro, I had a job for doing door-to-door sales. And when you're out of there, you feel like, damn, bro, you don't care about people saying no to you. You're just a different person. And I recommend people to try. Bro, the base fell. So that's why we gotta do way that we can control in the house. Don't go crazy like that. Do reps, quality over quantity. Because you see, imagine if I had like the bike's weight on me, this will be the last video you guys will see. But let's keep going. We're gonna do the push-ups, and then we're gonna do back, and then more chest, and more back, and more chest, and more back.
Sit there and convince them that they need windows. And once you've convinced them of that,
And more money talks.
you have to convince them to choose you over all your competitors and spend thousands and thousands of dollars, $20,000 or $30,000, replacing plastic and glass that they already had in their walls. I think that'd be a very hard job to do, and I think that would make you a very good salesman. But life is sales in general, right? You have to be able to make people understand the way you think, and I think that's all sales effectively is. It's having thoughts and being able to project them in a way that people follow them logically and want to agree with you or are inclined to agree with you at the end. So I think life is sales. Getting a girl to fall in love with you to a degree is sales. Mm-hmm. And convincing a judge you're innocent is sales.
And it builds tremendous character and resilience.
So you have to get used to being rejected.
Yeah, hundreds and hundreds of times over. It builds character.
And it's amazing how if you start a sales job and you're rejected at the beginning, it's such a big deal. But after a while, the rejection just doesn't sting anymore.
Yeah.
Which perhaps answers back earlier when we were talking about my confidence to sit here and say things that get me in trouble. It just doesn't sting anymore.
Did you?
This will come out and the BBC will type up something about what I said and how bad of a person I am, and I won't care. It just doesn't matter anymore. So I'm that guy now. I just keep knocking at the door of fate. I keep knocking at the door waiting for them to eventually grab me and throw me in the cell. So we'll see how it goes.
Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about your desire to grow on social media.
Yeah.
How much of it was to grow the business through e-commerce and online with infinite scale versus get your message to the world? I'm sure it was a little bit of the two, but when you were sitting there planning your social media 3-step plan of attack, what was the primary?
So it's been like 10 to 20 minutes. Let's do the summary of everything that we have heard today. So number one, we gotta make our last name mean something. Work hard, that fire inside you, transform it into something great. That's what we're doing. Number one, make your last name mean something. Number two, I'll say getting better on sales, which is something that is covered on everything that we do in life, selling, being persuasive, being able to communicate an idea. That's why I created this channel, so we can get better at communicating our ideas to others. So number one, again, make your last name mean something. Number two, improve in your selling skills. Let's keep going.
Primary motive for you?
So the primary motive is that COVID pissed me off. COVID annoyed me. I lost faith in humanity during COVID. I couldn't stand people anymore. I decided to become as well known as possible deliberately so that I could get canceled, so that I could drive traffic to my own social networks, because I kept getting banned everywhere. I've lost like 12 Twitter accounts. I lost my YouTube. I was banned on everything. And then, of course, making money is very important when you fight a war, and having traffic driven to my e-commerce products or my Hustlers University is good because it allows me to fund myself in the war. But I was already rich. I already had a lot of money. And the reason my school exists isn't for me to make money. That's not why it exists. It's interesting now you've asked me this question. It's an amalgamation of lots of different ideas, but I always had the intention of getting a network of people who understood how the world really worked and a place where you could truly speak freely. And then I want those people to be as powerful as possible. I don't want the people who understand how the world works to be brokies. I want them to be rich because that allows them to fight against the matrix and have some kind of influence. You don't want a whole bunch of people broke working wagey jobs. They can't do very much unless you want to have a violent revolution. You want people who earn money online or geographically free or have large platforms or can speak aloud, who aren't afraid of being canceled to fight an information war. So we ended up with this amalgamation of building my own social network and then me trying to teach those people to make money and me being able to speak freely inside of the network. And that's kind of where the whole university came together and formed into its current state. We have over 200,000 members now, so we're very large.
How important do you think it is for people to make money online with e-commerce?
Hey guys, we'll get right back to this video in a sec. But first, I have a quick question for you. Given that the e-commerce industry
to make you do that. I would argue that's easier. But the main reason that they're going to control you is because you have to pay your mortgage and they're going to hit you financially. And so if you're working a job and they say take the vaccine, it's very hard for you to say no when you have a family to feed and a mortgage to pay. I would argue that a lot of people begrudgingly took it. I probably think the majority of people begrudgingly took it because they had bills to pay. So if you make money online, sure, it's harder to make you do that. But you don't necessarily have to make money online. You have to make money in a manner in which it's harder for the matrix to force you to do things you don't want to do.
So you have freedom and control over your own.
And freedom of speech, because a lot of people can't say what they think.
I want to ask you this, and it's related to the business side of things, switching gear. A lot of our audience, we've interviewed a lot of billion-dollar entrepreneurs, a lot of high-level people. We've had Patrick Bet-David on the show, who I know did a great, wonderful interview with you. He's a mutual good friend. A lot of people wonder about how you built your empire. So I want to get into some of your mindset. Before jail and all this, talk to me a little bit about how you went from 0 to $1 million, million to 10 million, and whatever you're comfortable sharing, just so people can see your mind frame, you know what I mean? Like business moves you made early on, just because a lot of our audience is entrepreneurial minded. How did Andrew Tate go from 0 to $1 million, million to 10 that you're comfortable sharing and beyond?
Sure. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to address this webcam thing because everyone asks me about it. And a lot of people conflate my current scenario and the situation I'm in with my old webcam business, even though they're not related at all.
I want to skip this part because it doesn't have anything that we can learn from. Let's go to what it takes to build a personal brand.
There's a special moment we all enjoy. 5.
Okay, here we're gonna be doing ropes because we're gonna combine it because doing it right here, the back over here, I don't feel that too much, so we're gonna combine it with ropes.
Brand is in 2024, 2025 and beyond to growing a business. He talks about, he believes that there'll be billion-dollar companies that are 1, 2, 3 person like companies because of the power of AI. Let me ask you this. How important do you think building a personal brand is in 2024, 2025 and beyond to grow?
Who has been working for you for 10 years and is still your lowest salesman ever going to truly get better? Probably.
This is something about AI that I think is important, so let's listen to it.
Probably not. And I think getting in early and being involved in this disruptive industry at a point now where it's not mainstream is going to be the difference between the companies that survive into the future and those that don't. Because just like Bitcoin, when everybody starts doing it, a lot of the opportunity is going to disappear. And I think that it doesn't matter what industry you're thinking of getting involved in now or what you're thinking of doing, you should be looking at how you can use AI right now to make as much money as possible. And that's the advice I'm giving to people. And that's what we're teaching inside of our school as well in Hustlers University. Every single campus, we have a specific campus around artificial intelligence, which we teach. And every other campus, all the other money-making methods, we also teach how to integrate AI with them. Because I think the future is actually going to be people who can't make any money at all, and then people who know how to make the machines make money for them. That's where I think we're going to end up. Perhaps that's the future I'm betting on. And if I'm wrong, I've already got enough money, so we'll see.
Sam Altman from ChatGPT talks about, he believes that there'll be billion-dollar companies that are 1, 2, 3 person like companies because of the power of AI. Let me ask you this. How important do you think building a personal brand is in 2024, 2025 and beyond to growing a business?
It's credibility. which is one of the most important things. It's authenticity, which is one of the most important things. It comes with a lot of heat and a lot of smoke, which I don't think many people are prepared for. And it depends what you're selling. I mean, a personal brand is exactly that, a personal brand. If you have a company, then your company has a brand ethos. So you have to, what's the point of a brand in the first place? The point of a brand in the first place is credibility and relatability and authenticity.
Trust.
And trust. So it has to be done at some regard, at some level. You can decide if you want to hide behind a company to protect your personal life, or if you can be the face of your company yourself and suffer. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. Your personal life suffers when you're a personal brand.
True.
But
Especially when you're Andrew Tate.
well, yeah, in my particular case, but then also there's been massive and monumental benefits. There are some good things about it.
Right.
So it depends what you want to do and what industry you want to get involved in. A lot of people ask me about personal branding and come and say, should I do a personal brand? And I'd often argue that it doesn't matter if you should or not. Firstly, can you? Can you do a personal brand?
And what are you reverse engineering, or what are you optimizing for? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I mean, can you do a personal brand? What about you as a person is going to get people vested in you? And if you actually go down the rabbit hole and analyze it, you're going to realize that unless you've suffered and had a difficult life and have a bunch of interesting stories and war stories and all the things we're talking about, all the bad things, you're going to suffer to build a personal brand anyway. If you're born into a rich family and your life goes well and everything's fine and now you have a bunch of money and you try and start a personal brand based on the fact that you have money, nobody's going to care. Nobody's interested in all the good things that have happened to you, and nobody's interested in how nice your life is. Nobody cares. Maybe if you show enough money, you can get some temporary interest, but not for long. The only people who can build a brand off having a perfect life are women. Look, I'm beautiful. Look, I'm in Louis Vuitton. Look, I'm skiing. Chicks can do that because they're physically attractive. Men can't. All the men you can name with truly strong personal brands have very interesting stories, and interesting stories usually involve danger, risk, pain, suffering. Those are the things.
Triumph over.
Oh, exactly. So you say, oh, should I build a personal brand? Well, can you? And if you can, then perhaps you should consider it. But if you can't, then you have to sit and say, well, how could I? And the only way you could is to suffer. Are you prepared to suffer?
So to summarize everything, number one, we gotta make our last name mean something. Number two is that we gotta work harder and more than everybody else. That fire inside of us, use it to get better. Number three is gonna be the power of getting into things early when not a lot of people are riding the wave. Like it happened with Bitcoin, crypto, everything, and it's gonna happen with AI, artificial intelligence, which is unavoidable. Look at all the advanced things that are coming now. It's unavoidable, so we gotta get on AI as soon as possible, at least learn it and implement it, so we cannot be left behind. And number four, the power of a personal brand, which is credibility and that people trust you. And in order to have a personal brand as a man, we gotta be doing things that we don't like doing or that are uncomfortable. You know, I like working out, but bro, right now I don't wanna do that. But we're doing it, we're getting better, we're getting experience, we're fighting, we're working every day. So you guys can see and join the battle for good. So we're gonna leave it like this, the 4 points, where make your last name mean something. Number two, the fire inside us, let's use it, let's give everything we have. Number three, AI, get on things before anybody else does it, so we can win when it's a boom. AI, look into it. We're gonna be looking more and integrating more AI into these things and all the businesses that we run. And number four, personal brand, embrace difficulty. Always get better. Always chase greatness. I'll see you in the next episode. If you liked it, comment, like it. And if you disagree or you agree with anything, leave it in the comments and let's keep getting better. Let's go.